What's up guys, macadii here. Today I'll be taking you through my basic recipe on how to build a balanced Pokemon team. If you are unfamiliar with the tier, then you need to first of all look at the usage stats online to identify what the tier's main threats are. This can be found on Smogon's site and I will link it in the description below. I go by a general recipe where my team has to contain one special wall, one physical wall, one tank, one setup sweeper, one lead, and then finally a Scarfer. I will go through the requirements of each of these classes using my NU team as a case study. First of all, we'll be looking at the main core of your team, which will be your physical and special wall. Now these Pokemon both have to cover each other's weaknesses and also be able to counter most of the offensive threats in the tier. Ideally, as well, if they could have some form of recovery, that would be good as well. If we use my NU team as an example, we've got specially defensive Thick Fat Miltank as my special wall, and physically defensive Vileplume as my physical wall. Now these Pokemon work well together because they cover each other's weaknesses, and they also cover most of the top tier threats within the NU tier, which include Typhlosion, Feraligatr, and Sork. Your walls will end up struggling against setup sweepers on your opponent's team, so you need to have a Pokemon that can hit hard, but also can take boosted hits relatively well. So for my NU case, I used Assault Vest Regirock because of its extreme bulk, and also the fact that it has really good offensive stats so it can hit hard as well. The next thing you want on your team is a Scarfer. Now this Pokemon needs to have high offensive power and also high speed to make sure it outspeeds other Pokemon that are boosting or have a choice Scarf. For my NU case, I used Sork, who has good offensive stats, good speed, good coverage, and also has the ability Sturdy, which means as long as there's no entry hazards up, he can always take at least one hit. The next thing you need to add to your team is a Pokemon that has access to boosting moves so it can sweep your opponent's team. Now this Pokemon needs to have access to good bulk and good speed to make sure it can sweep your opponent's team. For my NU example, I didn't actually have a setup sweeper, but I actually combined this role with my Miltank. It has access to Curse, which allows it to improve its physical bulk and also its offensive power, making it incredibly difficult to break. The next thing you need to do is decide what your lead is going to be. A standard lead has access to Stealth Rocks to set those up, but there are a wide range of roles that you can choose from. For my team, my typical lead is my Regirock, because it gives the impression that I am going to be setting up the rocks, which baits in Pokemon such as Xatu. If your opponent also leads with a Pokemon that's specially offensive with access to boosting moves, they can quite easily get greedy, assuming that I'm going to be switching out. The next thing you need to decide is whether your team is going to have a Pokemon that has access to either Rapid Spin or Defog. If you decide not to run either of these sets, then you need to try and avoid having too many Pokemon that are weak to Stealth Rocks. Make sure that your team isn't too heavily physically based or too heavily specially based. Ideally you want to have it where 50% of your Pokemon are physically offensive and 50% of your Pokemon are specially offensive. The next thing you need to do is to try and speed creep with some of your slower Pokemon. How this works is you invest a little bit of EVs into your slower Pokemon, and this means if they're facing uninvested Pokemon of the same speed tier, they're guaranteed to outspeed. Test your team extensively. Keep it the way it is for the next 5 battles or so, and make a note of any Pokemon that you're struggling to counter, or any inherent weaknesses that you're finding within the team. Then you come back and try and address these problems, and have another go at testing to see whether these problems have then been solved. These problems can either be solved by changing up a specific Pokemon's moveset, or replacing that Pokemon altogether. Well, there you have it guys, that was my basic recipe to building a balanced Pokemon team. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep up with my latest content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. If you want to check out some of my other tip videos, they'll all be on my right. You may find those useful. As well as that, I'll be linking all of my team building videos in the description below, so you can have a look at those and see what thought processes I went through when I was building these teams. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys at the next one. macadii out.